Two-time U.S. Open 9-ball champion. Dynamite, Darren, Appleton.
I came from the mud.
Looks good. Looks good. It is good.
Most important one was winning the World 10-ball championship because it's everyone's dream to be world champion.
Couldn't go into the edge of this.
I'm a grinder, fighter, play with a lot of emotion, a lot of art. Hello guys, welcome back to another Tiger Cue tip. Today I got something a little bit different to the norm. A lot of you asked me about what I mean by timing and tempo. And basically what it comes down to is having your hand in the right position. Obviously you've got to be lined up properly, and then that allows you to execute the ball properly. So timing and tempo is all about having your hand in the right position and just getting that timing and tempo and just the flow of the stroke right, so that when you hit the cue ball, you hit it at the right time, the right point in the stroke, and then just going through that cue ball, and that will give you good timing and tempo. So I'm going to explain it to you. Right then guys, I'm going to explain to you the timing and tempo. So I've set up like a little drill here, and this is a drill I do all the time, because if I can get this consistently good and right, then obviously I know that my stroke is in good shape and my alignment's in good shape. So I'll just put the cue ball in line with the object ball and just draw the cue ball back to this rail. I play about 15 or 20 of these before any practice session, just to make sure that my timing and tempo is good and my alignment's good. And the biggest mistake most amateurs make is that they're not in line before they get down to the shot. You come round to the shot, you're too quick to get down, and you have your hand too close to the cue ball or too far away. So what happens there, if you're too close, you can't bring the cue back right, because there's not enough room to come back. So you get a bit quick, a bit stabby, and you can't go through the cue ball. If you're too far away, you're hitting the cue ball too late, and your cue's not going through the cue ball, it's stopping a few inches after, so you're losing that timing and tempo, and then it's a lot harder to control the cue ball and put it exactly where you want it. And I see it all the time. And a lot of you also, you hit too high on the cue ball when you're trying to draw, it all gets a bit quick. So I've set up a nice little reference here. So I'll put a piece of chalk on this diamond here, a piece of chalk in line with this diamond, and a piece of chalk in line with the object ball. So I have the object ball about half a diamond off the rail, just bang straight in, and the cue ball is straight in. So it's a really good reference. So for me, you want your hand in the middle of this diamond. So now when I pull the cue ball, the cue back, I can go through the cue ball. So I've got a little tape measure here. So if I measure that from the cue ball to this piece of chalk, this diamond, it's about 12 inches. Like diamond to diamond is 12 inches, which is 1 foot. So I think roughly you want to be no closer than 8 inches and no further away than 12 inches with your hand. Depending on how tall you are, but I'll probably say that the majority is about 10 inches away from the cue ball of all players, like all pros. So now what happens is that if I practice a lot, then I know that my timing and tempo is good. It doesn't matter where I'm on the table, eventually I'll just naturally drop into that position. So if the cue ball is there, my hand's going to drop into the right spot all the time. The only 10-15% where you might get closer to the cue ball is when you're playing those little soft dinky shots, like those soft little draw shots where you're close to the object ball. Make sure you don't double kiss the ball, or you're just going to nip a ball into the side pocket, or you just want to kill the cue ball, or you just got to make the ball and you're feeling a bit under pressure. You might cue a little bit closer so that you've less chance of any movement. But yeah, for 80-90% of the shots, you want your hand in the same position all the time, and that's just going to generate good consistency. So there's a few ways of doing this. So what you want to be doing is that when you pull the cue ball, the cue back, you want to go through the cue ball like this. Like I said before, there's too many players doing this. And you can even count in your head. You can just go 1, 2, 3. So then you're not too quick or a bit or even too slow. So you can just count in your head 1, 2, 3. So you want to be hitting the cue ball halfway through your backstroke to the follow through. So it's like going through, halfway through, and then striking the cue ball nicely. And then what happens then, the cue ball will do exactly what you want it to do. You generate a lot more consistency, and you won't have to hit the ball hard and still generate a lot of spin or whatever you want to do with the cue ball to get the result you want. So we'll do a little demonstration with regards hitting the cue ball to the object ball, and we'll see what happens. Right then, I'll give you a quick demonstration. So like I said before, it's all about that timing and tempo, bringing the cue back and going through the cue ball. Again, if you're too close to the cue ball, you get a bit quick, a bit stabby, you have more chance of missing the ball, and you've really no idea where the cue ball's going. So it's having your hand in the right position, aim nice and low on the cue ball, and that's another thing with amateurs, is that they're frightened to aim too low, because they're too stabby, they end up miscuing. But if you drive through the cue ball and you put a nice easy stroke on it, you won't miscue. You just got to drive through the cue ball. Just like that. Didn't hit it great, but because I went through the cue ball, I still get the result I want. So again, what will happen is that your stroke will be more forgiving also. There you go. Still didn't hit it as good as I want to hit it, but we'll try a closed bridge one, because I know most of you play with a closed bridge. Same again, just drive through the cue ball. And if you do that, the cue ball will start dancing and going exactly where you want it to go with very little effort. Just like that. And that's just all about repeating practice, having your hand in the right position. So it's going to be maybe 8 to 12 inches from the cue ball and driving through the cue ball. It's so important. So it doesn't matter whether you're playing with follow, stop shot or draw, it's the same stroke, the same timing and tempo. So I hope that's a big benefit to you, and something you can take to the practice table and improve your own game. Because like I said before, it's probably like the number one mistake what most amateurs make, and if you can correct that, then your game will massively improve. So till next time.